Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another weekly case update with the Liberty Justice Center. This week, I am joined for the first time by lead attorney Riley Stevens, and we're going to be talking about a very important case that Liberty Justice Center is working on. But before we jump into that, I just want to say thanks for joining, Riley, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Oh, thank you for having me. So my name, as you say, is Riley Stevens. I am counsel here at the Liberty Justice Center, and I've been here for just short of 5 years now, where we've been doing lots of things around. We do lots of First Amendment, lots of other things, but particularly one of the things I've been focused on is kind of public-private collusion, and and the ways in which that governments and private parties can sometimes work together against the interests of the public. And so this latest case is kind of another permutation of that, where we have Gessing versus Yara, which so the background here is that about a year and a half ago, some of you may remember there was a leak of the opinion in Dobbs, the Supreme Court case, which ended up overturning Roe versus Wade. And after that leak, before the opinion came out, the Albuquerque City Council passed a resolution to give Planned Parenthood a grant of $250,000 just to show they loved Planned Parenthood, basically. And politics are politics, and that's all fine and good. But the problem is, actually, in New Mexico, it's actually unconstitutional for governments to give money to private companies just as a gift, right? There's something called the anti-donation clause in the state constitution, and that says you cannot just write sweetheart checks to people you like with taxpayer money. And so we've filed a challenge on behalf of Paul Gessing, who's a Albuquerque resident taxpayer, and CareNet, which is a pregnancy resource center, which was not given a similar opportunity, which provides similar services to Planned Parenthood, but was not given a similar opportunity to apply for any such grant or anything like that. And our argument essentially is that this sweetheart deal to Planned Parenthood is a violation of the New Mexico anti-donation clause and should be tossed out.
Right. I mean, when reading this case for the first time, it is one of those things that just seems completely unbelievable to think that, a local government is giving away $250,000 of taxpayer money to Planned Parenthood. And again, one of the important points that you made was that there are these other entities that never even had an opportunity to apply for a grant, right? Other organizations that deal with women's health, pregnancy crisis, pregnancy centers, et cetera. And so this case is, I think, really important for folks to follow as it relates to an abuse of power at the local government level, as it relates to special favors, handing out money. And once again, taxpayers are on the hook for this special handout that we've now seen in New Mexico to Planned Parenthood. So tell us, have you seen other situations where this could set a precedent as it relates to local government just handing out taxpayer funding to their friends and allies in different political movements and organizations? Is this something that we see happen often?
Well, I think in lots of different ways, absolutely, yes. I mean, you can go back to things as simple as, some of these stadium construction deals where the city will, give hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars to NFL teams that don't need the money, but people want an NFL team, so they get the sweetheart deal, right? So this is why New Mexico has this, basically, is because the people of New Mexico said, we don't want our money being handed out to private companies, to political organizations. And again, this is not just about politics. This is not just about abortion. It's about whether or not politicians get to decide to give their buddies money, right? And that's why New Mexico has this long tradition of saying no. In fact, there are opinions from the New Mexico Attorney General, opinions from the New Mexico courts saying things like, you can't just build a minor league baseball stadium with city money and just give it to the baseball team for free, kind of thing, right? And so these kinds of handouts to special interests happen every day, whether it's a politically favored group, whether it's a business group that donated a bunch of money to the mayor. And so that is the kind of thing we're trying to push back on. And thankfully, in New Mexico, the law says, in our view, that they are not allowed to actually do this.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us what is happening in this case. Where does it stand now? What's getting ready to happen? What are you preparing for?
Sure. So we filed the case a little while ago, and so the city and Planned Parenthood, who we sued both representatives of the city who write the checks, and Planned Parenthood is going to get the checks, and they both filed motions to dismiss our case, and so we are going to have a hearing here on the supposed to be the 23rd, where we're going to argue those motions dismissed, where they basically want the court to dismiss the case without us having a chance to fully prove our case and go to trial or what have you. And so that is the next step, is we're going to go argue that here in a couple weeks, and we're going to try and make our case to the judge that we have made out a claim that should be allowed to go forward.
Yeah. And I think, one thing you mentioned that I think is really important for folks to know about this is that it's not even being argued from a pro-life, anti-abortion perspective, right? It's actually the simple facts of local government should not be handing out taxpayer dollars to preferred organizations or entities of any political affiliation or any organization or company, especially without due process, to consider other organizations or entities that may want to apply for these funds. So we will at Liberty Justice Center continually update folks on this case. And again, if it's something that you feel passionate about as a viewer, to say, hey, it's not even about the issue of what they're funding. It's more the principle of, should this be the way that taxpayer dollars are spent? So as you can see, you can follow us along on our website, libertyjusticecenter.org. And of course, Riley will have you back to update us on where this case stands following your argument.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining.